Okay, built this app on Saturday. It basically addresses the news problem. I call it Delta. We're trying to get at what changed in the news for a PM. What would they want to see? Here's a description, which I'll send as well, of what it does. It creates a dossier of every ticker, a thesis, results, street view, ownership, insiders. I pulled a bunch of data using my own platform, the Datris platform, just because it was all local here. I've got holdings similar to Michael Gutag's holdings. I just generated a portfolio based on NVIDIA and a few others. And I'm pulling all this information. I pull 8Ks, price targets, earnings surprises, analyst grades, estimates, 10K filings, earnings transcripts, all the press releases, any insider trading activity, institutional ownership, and financial scores. And then I generated this application. Here's the feeds over here. So here. So these are all the feeds. I basically just used the assistant to pull in all the data, generate all the taps and pull in all the data, mainly from FMP, which I have an account with, and some Edgar stuff. But here are all the different data sets that are coming in that I'm using to generate the actual dossier. So this is this just ran at 11:30. It's 11:45 now. But it created all the news events that they might be interested in. What changed? This is one source. You can actually see the dossier of a company. So if I click on Meta, it gives me, the price target, signals, last material change, the thesis behind the company. So this is built for every single ticker. And then what happens is you feed the news against it, all the latest news for all the holdings, and then it'll generate basically a ranking with scores. So this tells you materiality. We're looking at any materiality here. It tells you it's a judgment of how much a given item actually changes the holdings, dossier, thesis, guidance, street view, risk, how much it matters. And then a score is materiality reweighed for your portfolio position. So if I change the materiality of this to a higher number, it brings in, only these stories that they might be interested in. I can click on this. I can see what changed. First revenue visibility, red DIFRA, sales imply 1.3 billion run rate. You can see some of these other ones. It brings in and it basically assigns them in a category as well. 5.2 trillion company just asked Wall Street for 500 billion more. That's NVIDIA. Obviously, that's the other day. So this is basically how the whole thing works. And you can also see all the different, not just news, but I could bring in, if I do all event types, it brings in the dossier change based on the data that was coming in from all the different data sets that are coming in. You can look at, any specific data set, if there's any different type. Capital allocation source. This is looking at capital allocation changes and what changed. Management changes, aren't any in the latest news. Earnings. And then you can just see the news. It's something we might want to take a look at, the concept of maybe doing something like this. This is all explained in this document, which I'll send over.